Hey friends, welcome. This is one last invitation to join us for my new online course, Your Next Chapter. And I want to explain why it is set up in this particular way, in this 40-day format. We work together for 40 consecutive days. Why? Because 40 is the number of transformation. We're going to bring focused attention to something that you want to make happen in your life. And as we sit here now, you might not even be clear on what that is, or you might have been working towards the same goal for a long, long time and it's just not happening. And what you might realize as we go along, that it's time to let that particular dream go because you might not be that person anymore. So much has happened for all of us, particularly in the last few years where a lot of change has been accelerated. On the one hand, life feels like it was moving very, very slowly for a while, but inside there's been a lot of reevaluating. So we can't keep going back to the same old things that we've been trying to do for years and years, and they aren't happening. They aren't happening for a reason. Now, there's a couple of reasons they're not happening. One might be that there is something internal, an internal block that needs to shift within you, or it might be that that dream, that goal is no longer valid for you. So we have to reevaluate who we are now, what's important to us now. If you're stuck, there's a reason. We talked about that in the chakra shakeup class where we talked about getting unstuck. The barriers aren't out there, the blocks are in here. And the cool thing about working with Kundalini Awakening Yoga is that we can work on the chakra system, on the energy centers in the body where these emotions live. Now, if that just feels out there to you, this chakra system and what's this Kundalini energy, just feel into your body. You know that there are places in your body that feel tense and tight. What is that? That's emotion. That's where your limiting beliefs are. They're not up here. You're trying to think your way past your limiting beliefs. And that's a very limiting way to do it because the intellect can't actually even identify what your true limiting beliefs are. Why? Because they're buried in the subconscious. And they say that 75%, I've heard as much as 95% of our behaviors are driven by what's in the subconscious. So you're trying to think your way to a better place and it's not going to work. This is why I work with the body. This is why in the Kundalini practice we go, it's not that the mind is irrelevant and it doesn't have its place, but we'll get to that. First, we do a deep dive into the body and we go into those tight places using the breath, using movement, and we figure out what that tightness is. You don't even have to really know what it is yet. That'll become obvious over time, but we go into where those tight spaces are in the body, the mind, the heart, and we breathe into them. And whatever that tension is, it slowly starts to be released. Sometimes it can be released very quickly, and that's really dependent on whether you're ready mentally, physically, emotionally. There is work that has to happen on the nervous system for you to be able to handle facing what needs to be faced. What does that mean? Facing what you've been hiding from yourself. Once that awareness comes to the surface, there's no going back. Then you see with more clarity than ever before how you've been standing in your own way. And that's the hardest pill to swallow. It's yes, if things aren't happening, it's because there's something that we are creating because of this internal dynamic that is blocking us from moving forward. And sometimes we're not meant to move in a particular path. So that block is a blessing. So this 40-day transformation helps us figure that out, not with the intellect. The mind has its role and we'll come to that. But when we first go into those tight places in the body, we breathe into them, the tension starts to release, the energy starts flowing in the body and we become awakened. We see very clearly how we're standing in our own way. It's like bumbling around in the dark and all of a sudden the light goes on and what was right in front of you all this time becomes very, very obvious when you stop trying to figure it out with your mind. Okay? So 40 days, what do we do for these 40 days? Well, here's the nice thing. We do all of these things that people are recommending you do, all of these techniques that have been, in truth, pulled apart from the yoga tradition. The yoga tradition has a method of, I'll call it journaling, but it's self-inquiry, self-study. That is key in the practice of yoga. And it's a key part of this course. Now, someone asked me the other day about, my studies and if I studied psychology, and this isn't about psychoanalyzing you. This is about you asking yourself questions about yourself. This is your work. You need to find the answers. So you sit with a very focused question at the beginning of your practice, and something will come to mind. Now, these questions are in this 80-page journal that I supply you with in your next chapter course. Over time, you're going to start coming up with your own questions. But for now, this is your starting point. Self-inquiry is fundamental to the practice of yoga. You sit with a very pointed question. You ask yourself the question. You take a moment to journal about it. Now, this happens after you've listened to a short 3 to 5 minute video from me on the focus of that particular day, because every day we do a very intentional practice. We're going somewhere on this journey. We are turning the page on the past. We're moving on to your next chapter, whatever that means. You listen to the short video. You ask yourself the question in the journal. You write a short answer, and then you start moving your body. As you start moving your body, as the breath moves into those tight places within you, and the energy starts to move, more information comes to you, insights come to you. Often they come at the very end of class as you're in Shavasana, as you're coming out of deep relaxation. Sometimes they even come later in the day. Why? Because you've brought focused attention to something that's important to you. How do we normally go through our days? We have our phone as an alarm clock. We pick it up, and before we even get out of bed, we let the whole world come flooding in and gain control of our emotions, of our thoughts. And when we let that happen, we let the whole world take control of our day, instead of us being more self-directing, being more intentional. Like, what is it that I want for myself in this day? What important things are happening for me? What do I need to prepare for mentally, physically, emotionally? So there is a different way of moving through the world. And it's, it's critical that we start to move forward and we stop wasting time. We've lost a lot of time. That's been my feeling. I don't know how you feel. I look back, and lots of things happened in those 3 crazy years of COVID, but there was also a lot of big gaps, a lot of lost opportunity to be with certain people, go to certain places, have certain experiences. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to lose any more time. And who knows how much time we have where we're healthy and strong and vibrant, and we want to maintain that positive energy as long as possible. And your next chapter can help you do that, because it gives you the type of practices that strengthen you from the inside. So it's not just that the physical body gets strong, which does happen, but you get strong mentally, physically, emotionally. You strengthen the nervous system, you gain back your energy, you gain back your vitality. So I started by saying all of these things that people are asking you to do out there in the self-help world are truly things that are all a part of a true yoga practice. So journaling work, where everybody's recommending that we do journaling right now, that is the self-inquiry practice of yoga. Right? If you've done real studies in yoga, you know that self-study is a critical piece of the practice, and is what helps us make our practices more intentional. You don't have to sit there for hours and hours writing and writing to try to get to those kernels of truth. You can find that truth very quickly through asking yourself pointed questions, getting on your mat, moving your body, and awakening. Your journaling practice is part of this 40 days. Your physical movement, what you need to do for exercise, is part of this 40 days. You don't need to do anything more. That's all I've been doing for years, this 30-minute practice. That's it. That's all you need. You don't need hours and hours at the gym. You don't need to jog. You don't do all those things if you like to do them. A lot of us don't. A lot of us feel like we have to exercise. Yoga feels different. Yoga feels different in the body. We set up this craving because over time it starts to feel really, really good. Not necessarily in the moment, because some of the things I ask you to do feel challenging. But that challenge it's not so much about the physical challenge. It's about showing you that you can break through. You can turn the page on the past and you can move on to your next chapter. It is possible. So your physical movement is incorporated in your next chapter, your journaling practice, your breathing practices, using mantra, repetition of mantras. Some people like to use that as part of the practice. That's there as well. Meditation, we're doing a moving meditation. A lot of people say that they're meditating, but they're doing nothing but sitting in stillness, which is a nice first start, but it's not really helping you access the meditative aspect of the mind, which is where all the wisdom lies. So this is one practice. 30 minutes encapsulates all of the things that you need. Just 30 to 35 minutes every day. That includes everything that these self-help experts are recommending that you do. So my invitation to you is please check out the link if that captures your interest at all, if this is something that you feel that you're needing, if you feel that you've been stuck, if you've lost your vitality, if you've lost your energy, if you're not feeling quite as motivated as you once did, or not even sure what's possible for you anymore, please don't stay in that dark space. It really feels like being in the dark and flicking the light on and all of a sudden seeing that so much is possible for you. So I invite you to awaken. I invite you to engage in this practice of Kundalini awakening, awakening that powerful energy inside you that is meant to lead you to your destiny. Enrollment is closing. It's June 2nd. For me, it's probably June 2nd, no matter where you are in the world right now. It's June 2nd, doors are closing, and this is a one-time introductory offer where you get $500 off, and the payment plan is as little as $97 per month. So I hope that you will consider joining us. Something that you don't know is that there are already many people inside the course and many that I've worked with before, so I know how incredible this community is. I know that if you reach out in the chat forum, the completely private chat forum, you will be so happy to be journaling along with this wonderful community of people. And I know a lot of us need that accountability, and the nice thing about the way this is set up is we're together every single day for 40 days. And then you can do this again and again and again. Each and every time you want to work through something specific to move on to your next chapter and your next chapter, because this is yours for lifetime use. So please check out the link, do it quickly. Enrollment is closing. This is it. Doors close today. I'm here to answer your questions, but please don't delay in checking it out. Satnam, and thank you for being here.